The breaking news just announced. The Houston Texans have hired Demeco Ryans as their next head coach. 6-year contract, according to Adam Schechter. So the Texans' 23-day coaching search is over. Demeco Ryans will be the 6th head coach in Texans history. No more David Culley. No more Lovie Smith. Demeco Ryans shopping at the top, as Cody would say. Arguably the top candidate available during this hiring cycle. He could have had any job, certainly interviewed for any job, and he chose to come here, back to the Houston Texans, where he obviously started his great NFL career.
That's the thing that has been the best part about how this has gone. When this coaching search was about to start, even before Lovie Smith's time as the head coach of the Houston Texans was finished, we on this program talked about the Houston Texans need to shop at the top. And I wanted to say shop at the top, but also make sure you get one of those coaches at the top. And they talked to 8 candidates. They talked to a bunch of people, and they had candidates that would turn down other opportunities once they talked to the Texans. Demeco Ryans was one of those guys. And it didn't seem like after their initial conversation, Sean Payton was much of a fit. They pivot to Demeco Ryans. And we'd heard about Jonathan Gannon and the familiarity with the organization and the interview that he had last year and those conversations and how he was the favorite. And Vegas had him as the favorite for a long time. And Demeco Ryans continued to coach well, continued to coach a fantastic defense in San Francisco, got in the room with Cal McNair and Hannah McNair and ownership and Nick Caserio and the front office, and he impressed, and he turned into the favorite. And then it was in a time where you couldn't communicate with the guy, him deciding that he liked you more than another opportunity that he had. He liked you more than any of the other opportunities because he turned down the other 3 from an interview standpoint, and then that guy picked you. So you've done enough in a short amount of time to change the perception of your organization, to change where people believe your organization is, to where one of the top candidates in this coaching market, the top coordinator candidate in this coaching cycle, pick the Houston Texans.
The reality is nobody knows how good or bad Demeco Ryans is going to be as a head coach. But this is a guy that at least you could point to and say he's qualified for the job. Other teams would have hired him. Other teams would have paid this guy a lot of money to make him their head coach. We have not been able to say that with the Texans when they hired someone no one heard of in David Culley, or someone that was a retread in his mid-60s becoming a head coach for the 3rd time in Lovie Smith. Demeco Ryans is a legit candidate. So if it is going to work out, you feel like you put yourself in the best position for that to become a reality. Texans fans should be celebrating this because, let's be real, you have not had anything to really celebrate in a long time. You want to tell me, oh, well, they got a lot for Deshaun Watson. That was a cool moment. Cool. You still got that 1 hit on the picks, and 2, the fact that you had to trade away a franchise quarterback was a sign of how bad things were here in the first place. This fan base has had very little to be excited about. You should be excited about Demeco Ryans. He's arguably the top guy available, and he chose you. He's got the connection to this fan base. And I think the biggest thing with Demeco, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. He's going to get time. If he makes a mistake, he's not going to be run out of town year 1 because he screws up something. He could grow with a young team that has 2 first-round picks, has, 11 picks in the draft in total? Like, this is a team that is set up to build for the future around a young, ascending head coach who automatically has the respect of the fan base. I think that's huge when you look at this hiring and this fit for the Texans.
The validity of him as a candidate is just so much better than a lot of the guys you talked to last year, and certainly more than David Culley when you hired him. And that was the joke when David Culley got hired. His Wikipedia was 2 sentences. They didn't even have his full list of where he coached in his Wikipedia. I mean, Demeco Ryans, and look, I have no idea if he's going to be a good head coach, but I know that he has been well thought of by teammates when he played. He's been well thought of by guys that he's coached in San Francisco. He has coached the best defense in football this year, improved it a little bit from last year to make it the best defense in football, and took over from a guy who had it as one of the best defenses in football and kept that going. So many times in football, somebody takes something over and they can screw it up, or they can try to implement what they want to do and things can go haywire or awry. That didn't happen in San Francisco. Yes, there's a lot of challenges for Demeco Ryans. And yes, it's going to be a while before if he is a really good coach, you start to see that. I'm not ignorant to the fact that this is one of the worst rosters in the NFL. I'm not ignorant to the fact that they have to go out there and find somebody to coach up that quarterback that they're inevitably going to draft in the 2023 NFL draft. But you've started down a path of legitimacy and relevancy that this organization has not been on the past couple of seasons. And you've done that by controlling what you can control. Create an opportunity for a guy that he believes to be attractive and hope that he picks you. Because you can't control what the coaches liked, which jobs they liked more than those jobs. You just had to present the opportunity in the best way you can. We got money. We got draft picks. We need a coach. We believe in you. And then Demeco Ryans picked you. The Texans controlled what they can control, and now Demeco's a part of helping control what you can control as an organization. Now you got to go hit the picks. You got to go make some good free agent signings, and you got to do that again next year, and you got to do it again next year. And then maybe you're finding yourself with some relevancy. We talked earlier in the offseason about how the Houston Texans could spiral into the Sacramento Kings of the NFL. Well, they're not going to go that direction quietly, and they're likely not going that direction with Demeco Ryans.
Texans, Demeco Ryans. Broncos, Sean Payton. If you're just tuning in, that happened. Within 15 minutes, you had Sean Payton going to Denver as part of a trade from the Saints to the Broncos. Then, of course, last week, Frank Reich was hired by the Panthers. So the Colts job and the Cardinals job are the two remaining jobs that are open during this hiring cycle. So within 15 minutes, you had Sean Payton, done deal, and obviously Demeco Ryans here in Houston with the Texans.
Yeah, no, with the big national newsbreakers worried about Sean Payton, old Brooks Cabina at the Chronicle snuck in there and got the Demeco news out there.
Traitor Cabina, as I like to call him. 713-780-ESPN is the number. We're going to stay with this instead of around the league coming up. We want to hear from you, Texans fans. So time to weigh in. Demeco Ryans is officially the next head coach of the Texans. Let's go to Ryan in Deer Park. Ryan, you're up first today. You're on the Wheelhouse. What's going on?
All right, look, fellas, I'm going to tell you why he chose the Texans over everybody else, because he knows once he gets let go after 1 year, he's going to get paid.
Ryan, thanks for the call. Look, he's not wrong.
That's our first caller on the Demeco thing.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
This is one of the best days in franchise history, and that's our first caller. That's what the callers have to offer is, he's going to get 5 years of a contract paid out to him after they fire him after 1 year.
Hey.
That's what we got.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Now, he's not going to be one and done. We know that. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt. The Texans, I think, could go out there and win 2 games this year until they won 3, and Demeco Ryans would get another year. But there's just no way they're going to be that bad again. You can't be that bad again. There's just no way Demeco Ryans as a novice head coach is going to be somehow worse than what we've seen from Cully and Lovie Smith.
Hearing some former teammates of Demeco Ryans talk about it, hearing some players that he coached in San Francisco talk about Demeco Ryans, it would be shocking to me if you saw defense played in a similar way to the way Lovie Smith's team played defense last year.
Well, what's interesting about hiring Demeco Ryans, I think the biggest beneficiary of Demeco is Derek Stingley Jr., if you look at players on this team. Demeco Ryans comes from the Niners. They run the same scheme that Robert Saleh with the Niners ran, who brought that scheme to the Jets. Sauce Gardner, as a rookie, was a first-team All-Pro. Now you can compare the guys in the same scheme. So that would be interesting. I think Stingley will be better suited playing for Demeco than he was, obviously, for Lovie Smith.
Demeco coached an all-pro safety this year, too. The guy's name it escapes me. Tafunga, I believe, is his last name. I mean, he coached an all-pro safety this year. I mean, this is a defense. And look, you don't hire the scheme, okay? I think you got to be very clear about that. You're not hiring a scheme. You're hiring a guy, and he's going to implement what he can implement within what he's capable of doing with the roster. But if he's putting together the type of defense that San Francisco has displayed the past couple of years, you don't have the type of players that San Francisco has, but you can be a tougher defense. You can try harder than some of the defenses that we've seen the Texans utilize. Like, I don't believe there's going to be a whole bunch of bouncing off guys and crappy tackling popping up with Demeco Ryans as the head coach.
I'm seeing it on the text line. What does this mean for J.J. Watt? What does this mean for J.J. Watt? If J.J. wants to coach, obviously there'll be a job for him on Demeco's staff, the same way Demeco had a job on Kyle Shanahan's staff as a quality control, low-level coaching assistant. I don't think J.J. wants to coach.
No.
How about J.J. playing one more year here in Houston? Could you see it? Because I don't.
I don't.
He sounds like a guy that is fully done playing football.
Yeah, if it sounds like a guy's ready to be a family man for a little while, and the grind. You spend less time with your family as a coach than you do as a player.
And also, he had the heart scare this year. I think J.J. Watt is done, but that's the most popularly asked question I'm seeing here on the text line. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Austin in Cyprus. Austin, you're up next on the Wheelhouse.
Hey guys, man, I am super happy we got Demeco, and I think it's just kind of like what Cody was saying. Like, it just feels like this is legitimate. We're actually like a serious contender now, and it seems like maybe our rebuild is finally starting to actually come through a start, at least. But I want to get your take on this, guys. Does this possibly, with Demeco now being officially the head coach, does this mean that maybe, for instance, free agents will actually start taking the Texans seriously, and he might actually attract free agents to come over to Houston, especially defensive free agents that are, possibly just, again, they're maybe the top of the free agent class?
Austin, thank you for the call. Look, free agency always comes down to money first and foremost.
Yes.
But I do think if the money is close, the advantage you now have is you have a guy that is highly respected around the league. The tiebreaker could be, hey, if I'm a defensive player, I want to play for a guy that's going to put me in the best position to have the most success. So, yeah, I think that's a part of it. But ultimately, when it comes to free agency, guys go where they get paid the most money.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes there's a bad team tax. You saw it with Jacksonville a little bit, some of the players they've signed in the past couple of years. So you may have to pay a little bit of a bad team tax, but everything in free agency is expensive. Like, there's so few bargain deals in free agency. Everything's expensive. So if you want one of the top free agents, just pay more than everybody else. You'll get them. That's how it works.
No doubt.
That's how it works. I don't think the coach matters a ton to those guys. I think the money that's going in their pocket matters a ton.
Let's go to Thomas in the Heights. Thomas, you're next up on the Wheelhouse with Jake and Cody. What's going on, Thomas?
What's going on, guys? I'm super hyped up about Demeco. I think just looking at the most recent D coordinators that have been hired, we're talking, like Vrabel, Saleh, Dan Campbell. We see these guys that change the culture, right? That demanded players to play up to a certain level. I think our defense has a few key players like Stingley and Petrie, but then we have a bunch of average players that in a system could play up and, kind of progress, what we thought was a long-term project and, a quicker turnaround. So I'm pretty hyped. I'm interested to see who he's going to bring in on the, OC side. So, but nothing but good, positive vibes. I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you there for the call. Yeah, I'm just seeing this tweet from Ian Rappaport. The Broncos spent today trying to hire Demeco Ryans again before he recommitted to the Texans. When he agreed to terms with the Texans, they moved and finalized Sean Payton. How about that? So this indicates that Demeco Ryans was the first choice for Denver over Sean Payton.
Wow.
Now, part of that, I'm sure, is the trade compensation, but still, an unproven head coaching candidate in Demeco Ryans. He's proven as a coordinator, but a lot of guys are great coordinators. We don't know what he necessarily is going to be as a head coach, and they preferred him over Sean Payton, at least according to Ian Rappaport, who's as plugged in as anyone. That's a big deal. That's why I think if you're a Texan fan, you should be celebrating this, regardless what the future holds, because for today, you get to feel like you're a real NFL franchise once again.
Wow. Sean Payton wasn't even the first choice of the Denver Broncos. How about that?
Crazy.